I do want to share with you what we've done so far. We are in week 2 of our April Olympians initiative, and we are really moving on our build of the Themis repository. There's been so many people who have been contributing so far. I hope she's here. I really want to shout out Solmaz. She is new to the community and jumping right in and hunting down those issues and asking questions. And so I really appreciate her time and attention. And I appreciate everybody's time, but I really wanted to call her out because she's brand new and has just been doing a fantastic job. But I did want to also share with you our current repository. So this is what it's looking like so far. If you go to the homepage here, this is what comes up, and I think you guys have seen that before. But now we've got a couple general conventions we've created, and then we've also got some conventions we've been building out for our different tables. So you can see these are the tables we had for week 1, and we're continuing to move through. We have tons of stuff on our GitHub project that I'll show you in a minute. But just to give you an idea of how the repository functions, I'm going to click on the person table here. So you can see we already have some conventions written out, and they are organized by field. But I did want to show you some neat additions we've made. So we started with the person tables, one of the first ones we did, and this one is around gender concept ID. You know, we've had some questions about that in the past. So this lays out the issue nicely, and at the end, it lays out the convention. But one thing we really liked was the ability to add tags, and we've talked about that a lot. And you can see here that this is tagged with gender identity as well, because that is another big question we've seen on the forums quite frequently. So if you click there, it actually shows you all the different conventions that are tagged with gender identity. So if you're not sure where to look, you can look for the tag. There's also a really nice search function here as well. So I can also search gender here up at the top, and it's going to bring up the different conventions related to gender. So there's a lot of different ways to interact with this repository. And as we keep building it, I'm really excited about the resource that this will become for the community, because I'm finding I can add so much more information and context to these conventions that we couldn't add to the CDM documentation. Now, on that note, in the CDM documentation, you will see we've actually started to add links to the Themis repository here as well. So we are doing our best to kind of slim down what's in the CDM documentation and really refer over to the Themis repository. So you'll see here there are some links available as we start to add our pages to Themis. So I would love, if you don't have time to join one of our teams, hunters, writers, or builders, I totally understand. But I would love it if you could take a moment to just start to interact with our new website, just to get an idea. We want to hear from the community how this is working, how it's working for you. If you have some suggestions or needs that you think the repository could address, we are in the build phase, and this is meant to be a community, a community resource. It is meant to be for you all to help you in your efforts in understanding the CDM and standardizing your data. So if anything, if you could just take a look and post either a question or comment on the forums or on the GitHub, that would really help us out to make sure we can make this work for you. Okay, and then just one quick note, I just wanted to show you, I know I flip over to GitHub a couple times, for those of you who aren't as familiar with GitHub, but this has been a really nice way for us to organize our work. We found it really helpful to work asynchronously. So it has been fantastic. I just want to show you guys where we are. So just to show you, we've got 10 conventions currently being worked on by our hunters. 13 they've identified for documentation. Melanie and I have quite a few to review here. There's quite a few ready to be built. But just to show you, we've closed 35 different tickets so far, and we've identified a few more that are items that the Themis working group will pick up once April Olympians is over. So I'm excited to show you our progress, because as you see, we've continued to close issues, and we've continued to have great interaction and collaboration, but we're always looking for more. So we would really appreciate if you guys have any time, even 5-10 minutes would be really helpful. We really could use some help in the writers lane here. And just to show you how easy it is, I'm going to pick one up and show you what that looks like. So for example, here, Evanet opened up a hunter's ticket on how to populate drug exposure start date. She put some information in here that was really helpful, summarized the ratified convention, and gave us a link to where she found the information. And then Maxime picked this up, and he just reorganized it a little bit, added a little bit more detail around the table and field it's referring to, and just cleaned up the convention a little bit. So that's really all it takes. It's not a huge lift, and you don't need to worry, because Melanie and I will be reviewing all of these conventions before they get to the repository. So if you're not sure, you don't have to worry that you're going to be causing some major crisis for the community because you told us to put January 1st, 2006 as every drug exposure start date. Trust, we will find it, and we will make sure that everything is moving nicely through the process.